This has been the summer of NFL quarterbacks chugging beer live on TV. What Philadelphia athlete would you take in a chugging contest? And who would you take between this guy and me?
I've got a fresh cup of coffee in a brewery. In New Jersey, that's against the law.
I know I could beat you in a coffee chugging contest. He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Macnow from the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company in Croydon, PA. Welcome to What's Brewing.
What's Brewing, brought to you in part by Monco Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board, download the app, and by the Conshohocken Brewing Company, now with 5 locations.
Ready? Fire!
Whoa! Hey, do you guys want to come with us?
Hey, welcome to What's Brewing. He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Macnow. We are at the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company, beautiful downtown Croydon. Joe Sixpack, what a place they got here.
It's been a while since I've been up to the brewery, and they've had a lot of growth since then. When you come up here, you see 2 huge tanks out front, so they're really growing up here in Croydon.
A lot going on. We're going to talk to some of the people who run this place later in the show. I'm enjoying one of their Churchville lagers, but we always start with our beer swap. It's not that. You decided you wanted to do a good old-fashioned, hard-to-find beer to start.
I did, a Rauch beer, because specifically that Neshaminy Creek does make a number of smoked beers. Rauch beer is smoked beer. It's a German style beer. Rauch, R-A-U-C-H.
Rauch.
It's German for smoke, and it's an old traditional style of beer in which the grain in the beer has been smoked to dry it over wood. And so it's not done very much anymore, and it's a distinctive flavor. Actually, we should just quick taste theirs.
Yeah.
This is the bacon industry, and the reason it's called that...
smoked meat, smoked
exactly.
beer, sure.
You might get a little bit of a bacon flavor out of this
I
beer.
get a little bit of a bacon scent, sure.
Yeah, wow.
Absolutely. Combining all my favorite things into one tidy can.
So it's a pretty intense flavor.
Oh, I definitely get the bacon in that. Yeah.
It's not.
I like it, I gotta be honest, a little bit would go a long way, but it is fun.
Actually, the one thing that I've discovered...
And I think I'd pair it with like a roast pork sandwich.
Perfect for barbecue as well. The one thing that I discovered years ago is that Rauch beer is one of those things that actually, if you drink more of it, you come to really appreciate it. So you had to drink a lot of this stuff.
Well, I'm game for anything. All right, so what'd you bring?
All right, the one I brought was the standard, the benchmark, which is Schlenkerla. It's from Bamberg, which is the home of smoked beer today. It's a number of smoked beer breweries in Bamberg.
I'm assuming this is Germany, Austria?
Exactly, it's in Germany.
Okay.
It's absolutely a gorgeous town. I encourage anybody that's ever traveling to Europe. Bamberg's a wonderful city to visit. And this Schlenkerla is from a tavern that is 900 years old. And just look at that beautiful beer.
Look at this. That is a beauty. Okay, ooh, I get the smoky flavor. In fact, I inhaled a little bit.
Very smoky.
Yeah, definitely.
Deep.
Like a fireside.
Exactly, and it's just a deep and sort of enduring flavor. It really wants to sort of take you over.
I like this. I'm thinking I probably like it more in the cold weather, but I like it now. I spared no expense. I brought you the big boy, right? Which is the Well-Crafted Beer Company from Lansdale, right? This is their Gone Squatchin'.
Which I wish I knew what the reason for
I don't
the name
know,
of
but
that
here's
beer
a
is.
crowler, baby.
This is great. Well-Crafted in Lansdale has been making some really nice beers. I'm so happy to see a local brewery like Neshaminy Creek and now Well-Crafted making smoked beer.
Here's to you.
A little bit lighter in color than that Schlenkerla, as you can see.
I still get the smoke a little bit, not as much as the other two, but a little more subtle than the others.
It's toned down, it's toned back just a little bit. It's still there, but might be a good stepping stone beer for people who want to try out
A
route beer.
transitional beer if
Yeah.
you're trying to break into the smoked beer palate. All right, I'm going back to my Churchville lager.
Well, there's a couple
'cause I
others
like this. Yeah,
that
what do
we've
you got?
seen. Omegang is making this vanilla smoked porter. It's a special beer just out this year, 2019. You often see smoked porters is not an unusual beer. For a true stepping stone beer, I suggest a Scottish ale, and this is the Dirty Bastard from Founders.
Okay.
It's going to be way in the background, and the smokiness is from peat.
Okay.
So it's a pretty cool thing. So some good
All
varieties.
right,
up there.
now, we got to get to this issue, which you teased in the open, which is what the heck is going on in New Jersey? They have, over the years, had some very odd regulations, and it just seems to be getting odder and odder.
Well, it's sort of an evolution going on in New Jersey. I mean, we all know that 5-7 years ago, you didn't see very many breweries at all in New Jersey because of the laws. They changed the law to create a special license for small breweries with tasting rooms. But what's happened in those years since that is that the breweries have begun adding things to it, events, various kinds of well, they've been trying to add
Like
food
other
to it.
civilized places, as in
Exactly.
Pennsylvania, which has come a long way.
Right.
So this is good.
Right, you would think so, but the liquor license holders have balked at this. That is, the people who own bars and restaurants, and they've gotten the state to crack down on this by issuing some special rules that these tasting rooms have to have, and the rules are almost insane.
All right, give me a couple.
All right, I mentioned the fact that I couldn't be drinking coffee there. You cannot make coffee in a small brewery in Jersey and sell it.
Okay, that seems
just-
entirely arbitrary.
Exactly, it does seem arbitrary. No amplified music in your bar unless you get a special permit and it's been signed by the local police chief, and that's for one night only.
I'm sure the local cops are just delighted to
Yeah,
have to deal with that, like they got nothing better to do. Okay.
Exactly. One of my least favorite is beer gardens. You can have a beer garden, but you can't serve beer in it. You can't have a tap outside.
Oh, so you got to walk in, get the
Right.
beer, walk out.
And
So
no waitresses either.
So the basic point of this is the restaurants are trying to protect their turf, and the legislature is helping them do that. Is that where we are?
Exactly it. And we've also seen some protests against us among the beer lovers in New Jersey, and there's a petition going on. Hopefully we can get that address up on our screen here,
Okay.
where you can sign that petition.
Yeah, New Jersey has to really snap into the 21st century, maybe even the 20th century.
Really?
I've lived in Pennsylvania now for 33 years, and it's come such a long way progressing from when I moved here. It's time for New Jersey to come along. All right, when we get back, we are going to talk about the phenomenon that has hit the media these days of celebrities chugging beer, and maybe we'll end it with a little bit of a face-off ourselves. From the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company in Croydon, Joe Sixpack, Glen Macnow, this is What's Brewing. Hi, it's Glen Macnow. You've seen some of our Conshohocken Brewing Company spots on this show, so I'd like to invite you to come and check them out. You can find us in Conshohocken, Bridgeport, Phoenixville, King of Prussia, and here in Havertown, where I'm enjoying an award-winning Puddler's Row right now. It's one of our year-round core beers, along with Type A IPA and user-friendly blonde ale. We've also got exciting seasonal beers, like Blood Money IPA, Philly Vice, and our Unfiltered IPA series. And come hungry. From burgers and wings to salads and small bites, there's something for everyone. Don't leave without trying the amazing cheese curds. The warm weather is here, so you can enjoy yourself on one of our outdoor spaces. And good news, you can find Conshohocken beers at grocery stores, distributors, and restaurants throughout PA, South Jersey, and Delaware. So get yourself to Conshohocken Brewing Company. I'll meet you at the bar. Welcome back to What's Brewing. Joe Sixpack, Glen Macnow with beautiful Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company in Bucks County, and there's been an interesting media phenomenon going on since May with NFL quarterbacks in public places chugging beers. As random as that sounds,
It does.
it's become a thing. And we're going to show you a video here. David Bakhtiari is an offensive tackle for the Green Bay Packers, went to a Milwaukee Brewers game, and kind of was caught on the Videotron, chugged a beer, and then they went to Aaron Rodgers. And just take a look here, because Joe Sixpack, Aaron Rodgers, does not acquit himself all that well. Take a look at this. All right, the quarterback was not up to what the offensive line. Beck here is an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, he put down 2 of them really.
I'm not really
fast.
surprised by that.
Okay, right. So I want to show you one more. This isn't beer, but it's wine. I was a big fan of Game of Thrones, which went off the air. Sophie Turner was one of the great characters on the show. Sansa, well, if you don't know the show, you don't know. But she's a terrific actor. She was at a New York Rangers game recently, was caught on, and look at what she does with this glass of wine. Impressive.
I would say wine is tough to chug.
That girl did it. So this has become a thing. Tom Brady of the Patriots, much as we hate him, he's legendary at this. He was on recently on Stephen Colbert's show and did the same thing.
Wow.
And he can show, yeah, he apparently, my friend Ross Tucker, who does some pregame stuff with us, used to be a teammate and says that Brady was amazingly good at it. Matthew Stafford, the Lions quarterback, his wife posted a video of him chugging, making fun of Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs great quarterback, did the same thing at a St. Louis Blues game, although he did it in a can, and a lot of people think it was an empty can that he faked it. And he's like, hey, look at me. Right?
Right.
So, yeah, might have been, I don't know. Mitchell Trubisky of the Bears threw one down. Josh Allen of the Bears chucked out of a can while walking.
That's pretty impressive. You know, they've got to add this to maybe the Super Bowl halftime show. Wouldn't you
Right,
rather
the
see?
skills competition.
Exactly.
The best part was Aaron Rodgers tweeted the other day, he said, yes, I've seen all this. It's fine that these guys have found something that they're better at than I am, which is good. So,
good.
Here's my question. Several. One, we love Carson Wentz. He's the Eagles quarterback. How would he do in a chugging contest?
He's sort of a little bit religious,
He's a
right?
very religious
Okay.
fellow. I don't know if he's a teetotaler or not, but he is very religious.
Well, assuming he does drink beer, I'm going to assume that he drinks really quick because, you know, he doesn't want anybody to see him drinking, so he gets it down real quick.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like a little...
No.
Okay.
I think he's probably pretty good.
Okay, I think he's good at whatever. I put this up on our social media, by the way, at Real Glen Macnow on Twitter, at Beer Radar, and you can follow the show at What's Brewing PA. What Philadelphia athletes, current and former, would be great at chugging a beer? Who you got?
That was a great question, by the way. We got a lot of response on it. I was going with probably a flyer of somebody from Canadian origin because, you know, they drink beer when they're 6, right? So
Lindros used to be able to do this
Lindros,
pretty well.
well, unfortunately.
Any of them got in trouble. Any of the bullies would be good.
Claude Gilbert, maybe?
Claude Giroux? I don't know.
I'm sorry, Giroux.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
The overwhelming #1 response, and I'm with it, Jason Kelsey.
Oh, yeah, of
Jason
course.
Kelsey's going to beat anybody in that.
Well, the Eagles, yeah, they have a good rep for that. But, I mean, Kelsey had beer named
Okay,
after
one
him,
other,
so.
because I know you know this guy. You've had a beer, the late, great Darryl Dawkins.
Absolutely. Dawkins was great. He had a reputation for drinking beer, although when we had beers together during the 1983 World Series, Game 1, we watched it together. I was a big fan of Darryl Dawkins, and he drank normally, so we didn't chug our beers then.
All right, do me a favor. Pour out a couple. What do we got there?
All right, so, well, I wanted to pour you, we're going to do a little contest here.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a heavy beer, so I'm going to pour that. That's half, I think, and this one's for you.
Wait, what? No, get out of here. Get away. So I'm studied up for this. So I looked at, I get to choose. You pour, I choose.
There we go.
I looked at techniques for chugging beer. It said getting rid of the bubbles will actually help you.
Right, so
too late for that. And to chug a beer, relax your throat, hold your breath while you tip the beer. I got nothing more to say. Here we go. You ready?
All right.
Actually, before we do us, I want everybody to look. We got one more video. This is the world record holder, Steve Petrosino, retired military guy in Carlisle, PA, 1.3 seconds. Look at this.
1, 2.
All right, I don't think I can beat that, but you ready? By the way, the odds posted in Vegas, I'm at 5-1. He's the prohibitive favorite.
We'll see.
All right, we click and we go?
Go.
All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, it's close. He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Macnow from the Neshaminy. I don't even remember what we're talking about next, but come back, it'll be great. This is What's Brewing. I'll have another.
I'm Joe Sixpack. I love beer and I love travel. I've visited great breweries around the world, and I'm inviting you to join me on my next expedition to France. Yes, they make beer in France. We'll travel the Seine on a luxury river cruise from Paris to Normandy. We'll visit breweries, explore the sights, drink great beer, and maybe some wine. Join me in October 2020. Just visit my website at phillybeerworld.com. Let's discover a world of beer together.
Welcome back to What's Brewing from the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company in Croydon. Joe Sixpack, you're going to chug that one next, right?
Yeah, sure.
There you go. That was fun, actually. I haven't done that it's been since college, I believe. It's been a while. Anyway, we are in the midst. We're deep into a great idea you had, which was our IPA brew down. We started with 36 beers. We're getting down into the deep grass.
We
What do
are.
you got?
We are. So we're heading into the final 8 here, and we had 3 matchups this week with the Yo I'm From Jersey category, which has actually been a really great fight going on. And this week, I can report that Ship Bottom's The Shack, and I think a bit of an upset, beat Cane Head High, 55 to 45%. And the reason I say that's a bit of an upset is that Cane has sort of become this sort of hot brewery among beer nerds who really like the beer. It's a lot from Cane, but Ship Bottom is making some really fantastic beers, as we well know, having visited their beer garden.
We did the show with them, and I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Ship Bottom. I think their stuff is terrific.
Right.
Okay.
In the Mythical Beast category, which is those beers that you line up for, another, I think, a bit of an upset, but maybe it shouldn't have been so surprising. Dogfish Head, 120-minute IPA matched up against Hill Farmstead Double Galaxy. Again, Hill Farmstead, big favorite among beer freaks.
Yeah, but not as well known.
Exactly, and I think that's why Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA moves on with 58% of the vote there.
Okay.
And then finally,
got a lot of votes for that one too, and then we got more than a few hundred votes.
Really?
Yeah.
Finally, and I'm unhappy to report to you, Glenn, but Conshohocken H-Town, a really nice IPA, fell to actually your favorite beer from last year, the Funk Double Citrus.
Well, yeah, I know.
58 to 42%.
I stayed out of that one for conflict of interest, but the H-Town did well, won a couple rounds, so that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right, we were talking about the world record for chugging beer in the last segment. There's some other beer world records that you looked up that are just great. I want to talk about.
I love. I mean, there's actually you can find these on the internet. Just beer records.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. I want to just start with this photo and have you explain what that is, because that's real. This is not a guy holding a 7-ouncer.
That is.
This
you
is
have a 12. Let me grab your 12-ounce can.
It's pretty much
exactly the same size.
Yeah. It's life-size picture. That is the hand of the late, great Andre the Giant. And what record did he set?
Andre the Giant, the pro wrestler, 119 bottles of beer in 6 hours. So it's essentially, what's that, a little under 5 cases of beer in 6 hours. The guy was notorious. A wonderful documentary that's out on, I think, on HBO.
Yeah, it was tremendous. It was sad, but it was really beautiful, and he was a great guy. This is a terrific picture of a guy holding how many beers on his pints of beer?
That's John Evans. This guy is absolutely famous. He's huge. He has, I think he's known as the head balancer. He has his own website. He once actually balanced a Mini Cooper on his head. An actual Mini Cooper car on his head.
Not a Matchbox, right?
No, an actual car, and that is that's the world record for most pints of beer balanced on your head, and it's 275 pints. And you might not be able to see, but that's actual glasses of beer.
How does that end? I mean, you know, like, how do you get that down?
He's got to stand there until people pull it off and drink them all, I guess.
All right, that's great. Give me a couple others.
All right, so. Well, the strongest beer out there. People are always making bigger, or had been making bigger and stronger beers. There's a beer out there from Brewmeister Brewery in Scotland called Snake Venom, and it is 67.5% alcohol. That's about 130. That's 135 proof.
That's got to be awful.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I can't imagine that tastes like, you know. like you scrub something you scrub a floor with.
Yeah, you would think so. Well, speaking of which, there's also the bitterest beer out there. We measure bitterness by something called the IBUs, International Bitterness Units. Typically, beers are in, a strong bitter beer would be in a 50, 60 IBUs. Somebody made a beer called 2600 IBUs, way off the charts. And I can't
Whoa, 26, what is that?
Well, I would think it's something that would be a cleansing product, but it's from a brewery called Carbon Smith, and I can't name it on TV.
All right, okay.
So,
Give me one more.
All right, one more. Let's see. Biggest draft beer selection. We got to make a trip to this. It's down in Raleigh,
This sounds like a
North
blast.
Carolina. It's the Raleigh Beer Garden, and they have 402 taps of beer in the place.
I don't know how you keep track of that.
I have no idea either.
So wait, if I wanted to try every one of those.
Right. Well, I did some math for us, okay, Glenn?
Yeah.
So that's the place is open 15 hours a day. So if you drank a beer an hour,
Yeah.
and assuming,
Beer now, I mean,
for 15 hours, it's a little tough.
it'd be tough to get home, but okay.
Bathroom breaks
I
in
was
there.
going to
maybe.
say, they must have a large men's room, but go on.
Anyway, if you drank one beer an hour, it would take you 27 days to drink each one of their beers.
Take
Almost
Sundays
a
off,
month.
get it done in a month. I'm in. All right. Maybe not. Coming up, we're going to talk to Jeremy Myers. He is the owner and head brewer here at Neshaminy Creek Brewing, here on What's Brewing. Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing. We are joined now by Jeremy Myers, who is the founder and head brewer here at Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. What a place you have here. This is great. And Joe Sixpack, you told me before this was a brewery.
It was a warehouse, well, partly used by the mummers, right?
When we actually, if you walk through the warehouse, you'll still see some embedded like glitter in the floor.
Well, you've put it to good use. Let's start by having you pour us beer because, quite honestly, mostly we're here to drink.
Exactly.
Sounds good to me. So this is our North-South lager. This is a wet hopped Helles German style lager. And it's a collaboration beer that we did with Sean Sasser and the guys from Cigar City out of Tampa, Florida.
Oh, great brewery down there.
We brewed it specifically for Philly Beer Week. And we just actually sent it out. We had to launch this earlier this week at the PHS Pop-Up Beer Garden downtown.
Nice.
So, and the cans are just getting out there now.
So is it going to be at that PHS garden all summer?
As long as they,
Till they kick it.
until they kick it.
Okay.
So
All right.
hopefully till they kick it. So.
I can't wait to taste this because Neshaminy Creek has made a great mark in the local beer community for making lager-style beers. Most breweries are making ales. Jeremy, why are you making, and you've made so many different really great lagers over the years.
Cheers.
To you, boys.
A lot of it definitely comes from, a lot of my influence comes from German brewing traditions. So it definitely gravitates towards that. Plus, for me, a lot of the experience of drinking beer is about drinking more than one beer. So, Helles's, Kolsch, Hefeweizens, any of those types of beer, these are beers that you're going to drink multiples in a sitting. So
when you talk about the influence of German brewing traditions here, that's, a little bit of a reach for a small brewery sometimes because there is the obligation to lager those beers and actually lager them for a little bit longer than it takes a little bit longer to brew the beer than it does an ale. Was that a plan going into building this brewery?
I mean, we definitely wanted to make lagers right from the get-go. We got really lucky that when we actually found our brew house out on the used market, it came with 3 lagering tanks. They weren't jacketed, so we actually had wheels, heavy-duty casters welded to the bottom of the tanks, and we would use a forklift to wheel the lagering tanks in and out of our cold box. But now we have 4 stationary, permanent, glycol jacketed lagering tanks. So right now we have 180 barrels worth of lagering capacity in the brewery.
Which is cool. I mean, when you lager beer, it has to be kept colder
Yeah,
than normal.
definitely.
And over the years, you've won a number of awards for the lager style beers that you make
We
here.
won 4 GABF medals for our lagers.
4.
Yeah.
I lost count.
Yeah, it's 4. So 2 for Churchill Lager. I'm wearing the T-shirt, which is our Vienna style lager, a gold and a bronze. And then in back-to-back years, in 2016 and 17, we won a bronze for our rock beer, Croydon's Burning.
Nice. What's new? What are you doing these days? What this collaboration is great. You got anything else going on?
A bunch of different things. Actually, one of the things I like a lot about this collab too is that we are working with a couple of hop growers in Bavaria that are now, one in particular that's patented this wet hop process where they're taking the hops directly off the vine in September, and then they're packaging and sealing them, and then they pasteurize them, so it's making them stable, and then they stay wet.
For how long?
I mean, we just use them, and I mean, they it's crazy how wet they are when they come out of the package.
But they were harvested
They were harvested in
autumn.
September, yeah.
So normally hops are dried before they're used, and these are wet. What does that do for the taste of the beer?
So in particular, the time when they were picked, they had low alpha, but a lot of flavor and an aroma associated with them. And so for that, we were definitely using them. When we bought these, had these lagering tanks built, we actually had dry hop ports put on the side, which is a very unique and unusual thing. It's a very American thing to do for lagering tanks, so that we could actually do things like that. So this was the first time we had done that ever with our lagering tanks. So before we actually transferred the liquid over to the lagering tanks, we had all the hops put in, purged the tanks in with CO2, and then transferred the beer over. So
That's really a lot of work.
yeah.
So can we discuss the tattoo? Like every brewer I know, you're tatted up.
Yeah, I got a
right.
few, I got a few.
And you have a beard. It's like this all.
Beard's a little shorter than normal.
Yeah, it is. But this goes with the job description. But you have a series of tattoos, and you have one on your leg, which we're going to show here. We got a shot of this, which is, for lack of a better phrase, Banana Man.
It's,
What's Banana Man?
We affectionately call him Banana Man over here.
Yeah.
So he was originally on the artwork for the Highwater Hefeweizen label, but in their infinite wisdom, the TTB, after a slight change and a resubmission of the label, they actually made us take Banana Man off of the label artwork because it could give the consumer impressions that there's banana in the beer. And,
That would really fool you.
yeah, so now he adorns the walls on the here in the brewery tap room, and then JP has made a couple murals and other pieces of artwork with him in it.
So JP is your house artist, I
JP
guess.
is our house artist,
You
yeah.
are well known for some really crazy labels, these cartoon figures. I mean,
Most
we've
certainly.
seen some of them in the show so far. How much is that as a part of the sort of character of Neshaminy Creek
I mean,
Brewing?
it really defines a huge part of what Neshaminy Creek is, and I mean, I think also from a perspective as a new brewery, going out in the market, we always say that the artwork, if you're an unknown brand, the artwork's going to, help you get the first sale, and then liquid is the second buy.
So that's JP Flexner.
JP
We give him
Flexner,
great
yeah.
credit here. It's pretty cool. And I know that you're probably not the only person with one of his pieces of work as a tattoo on him.
Well, last year for the first anniversary for the Brew House in Jenkintown, JP actually had made up a flash sheet of tattoos, and the kind guys over at Noble Heart Tattoos, which is 2 doors down from the Brew House, we're doing $50 flash tattoos of all the different characters from the Neshaminy Creek. And we're doing it again this year.
That's great. Well, Jeremy, listen, we've loved being here for the day. We're going to stay here, do another show next week. It's a great facility to have and terrific beer.
Thank you so much
So
for coming.
thank you so much for having us. Jeremy Myers, he's Joe Sixpack, I'm Glen Macnow. Join us next week from this here spot, the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company, on What's Brewing.
What's Brewing, brought to you in part by Monco Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board, download the app, and by the Conshohocken Brewing Company, now with 5 locations.